up, everyone? Jason Gilbert here at JGilbo11, taking a look at some pitching options for tonight's slate, Monday, 4/24. Overall, got a Coors game, which is obviously going to put a little bit of a spin on pitching and where to go. So we'll talk about that here. Look at the first guy that I'm really keen in on, Jason Vargas. Has been really strong to start the year. Under a 1 ERA. I mean, there's kind of everything to like about him so far. He's missing bats. 13.4% swinging strike rate. Contact rate's down, obviously, with that. Looking at him, his changeup's been phenomenal to start the season, maybe about a 40% strikeout rate on the changeup. Fastball, this guy doesn't throw hard, but placing it where, it's been hard to get a hold of, and obviously using his secondary pitches to a great degree. So looking at Vargas, I mean, slight road favorite here. Chicago under 3 runs. Under 4 runs predicted. I don't think Vargas is a bad option. Ground ball rate's decent. He's not allowing a ton of hard contact. Really reasonably priced on both sites. I mean, 8K on DraftKings is nice. 8,500 on FanDuel is nice. It's partially one of the reasons why I'm not thrilled with paying up for Greinke all that much tonight, because it's about a $1,500 difference on both sites. And with Greinke being at home, I'm not particularly loving it, especially given the bats that you want to pay up for on tonight's slate. I think Vargas kind of comes in as the number 1. But we'll transition into Greinke here. Obviously, the ballpark is one of the worst on the slate. The Padres 25th in WOBA against right-handed pitching, 24% strikeout rate, one of the lower hard contact rates in baseball as well. Greinke, solid start, 3.04 FIP to back him up on that low 3 ERA so far. Strikeouts, pedestrian level stuff. I mean, he's missing bats in 11% rate, but not really ending it in strikeout fashion. He did so against the Padres, but that was in Petco Park. Look at Arizona, I mean, minus 175 favorite. Run total sitting around 3.8, 3.9 for San Diego. But once again, I think the pricing is a little bit of an issue. I mean, DK, I don't mind it at 94. Do I think you can go elsewhere for some decent options? Yeah. But it's not a bad price. So if you have the extra cash, you can certainly go that way. But he's not a priority on tonight's slate for me. Another guy you can talk about here, Amir Garrett, 6,700 on DraftKings. I do like him. And I think the price makes it a little bit easier to stomach the fact that he is going up against a Brewers team that is good against left-handed pitching. So look at the Brewers, 3rd in WOBA against Southpaws this season, 4th in ISO, but they do have a 30.2% strikeout rate. Curious to see their lineup. They can certainly roll out 8 right-handed bats. They could also roll out about 5 or 6, depending if Thames and Shaw are in there, which they probably will be. Ballpark change does not particularly worry me because Great American Ballpark's not that different from Miller Park. And you look at Garrett, I mean, not walking guys. He only has 3 walks in his starts this year. Holding right-handed bats to a 252 WOBA, 25% strikeout rate as well. A lot of that came against Baltimore. When contact is made, it is hard, 36%. That's one concern. And you look at the Vegas total, it's hovering around that 4 mark. So it's a little bit of an issue. I think on FanDuel, he's an intriguing pivot off of Vargas for about an $800 difference. I do think he's viable in DraftKings more so as an SB2 and to pair with Vargas. Because I think the risk, I mean, if he goes 5-6 innings, gives up 4 earned runs or so, but has that 5 to 6 strikeout rate to 5 or 6 strikeouts to balance it out. At that price tag, it's not particularly that tough on your lineup, especially given the fact that he does allow you to have some salary relief and have some money for some bats. So I think that's one thing that we're taking into consideration when looking at tonight's slate, because there are a lot of options. So I don't think Garrett's a bad choice here tonight. Rolling strong. I definitely like his prices on all 3 sites. I think he's just more of a GPP pivot on FanDuel, well playable in all formats on DraftKings and Yahoo. As far as other guys go, I mean, Chris Archer, Ubaldo Jimenez, rain concern there. If it goes in, both of them are viable GPP options at different price tiers. Archer, I mean, Baltimore's a high strikeout rate team right now. The power's there. Archer on the road is a little bit concerning. We've seen him struggle away from Tampa. But looking at that lineup, I mean, not particularly rolling heavy, especially in the bottom half. Manny Machado's starting to come around a little bit more, but obviously we know Archer can miss bats. So I don't mind him as a GPP play if that game plays. Ubaldo Jimenez on the other side, I mean, a high risk option. I mean, high, like, red alert, GPP option. Cheap, coming off a good start against Cincinnati. Yes, the blow potential is really there for him, but you go back to last year, second half, he turned things around. I mean, 2.82 ERA, FIP was in the threes, 255 WOBA allowed, strikeout rate was up. We saw a flash of a good start against the Reds last time out. Looking at the Rays offense, I mean, 26% strikeout rate against righties, but they are in top half in ISO and WOBA. But I think with the rain falling, you might not even bother with those two guys anyway, but do need to talk about them. Another guy, I mean, Francisco Liriano is cheaper on FanDuel, 8,400. Back-to-back good starts for him. The walk rate's always a concern. The Angels do walk a decent amount. They do strike out quite a bit now, 22% against lefties so far to start the season in a small sample size. Park factor is obviously terrific. A couple right-handed bats to worry about. I mean, obviously Mike Trout and Pujols, but that's about it for me. I mean, 16 strikeouts over the last 12 innings, definitely not bad. I think that's there. DraftKings, he's way too expensive for me to touch. So I think FanDuel, you can look at him as a decent option. As far as other bats or as far as other arms go, not really looking at anyone here. You have Phil Hughes, Martin Perez, don't want any pieces of them. Coors, I don't want any pieces of them. Matt Cain, Ryu, the only thing going for them is the ballpark. It's not great matchups for either of them. So a lot of those other guys are just kind of stay away options. Brett Anderson, Chad Cool, really average stuff tonight. So I think those are basically the five that we'll be sticking with here at DFC. So if you want to check out our cheat sheets, you can head to our Daily Fantasy Cafe as well. Take a look at our content on the site and also our lineup optimizer and other tools. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.